Home, brothers. So one of the major topics flying around in the KBH is anger. And what is it? Well, I am a metallic type, so let's define that. In China we have the 5 elements, and 2 of these 5 elements are destructive. And number 1 is the metallic element, the number 2 is the fire element. These are destructive elements. Destruction has a bad name because it's generally much easier to destruct than it is to construct or invent. And the people who go around destroying things in society are generally not very good people. The external manifestation of the material world today is deteriorating and devolving because of these elements. And so we immediately connect this idea and think that destruction is bad. Consider for a moment, however, that if we are to tend a forest, we cut down the diseased trees and then we burn that disease out and we gain heat from that. So, destruction can be directed in a really nice way. It can be directed against diseases and problems and evil things. Sometimes evil people, if they are generally evil. And that brings me up to the other thing. First of all, we have different kinds of people, and so I'm not trying to convince somebody who is not of a nature similar to mine, a critical nature, to start being super critical. It's your own business. You have to look into yourself and decide what kind of a person you are and how you feel best at it. I feel that us metallic types and fire types in the world today, and especially in Europe and the white world, have been severely repressed, and that the white world is full of pussies who are not standing up for themselves, and there is a huge flock of masses called the sheeple who refuse to look at things critically. This situation could be getting better. I see a lot of people waking up to the Sandy hoax and other major issues. And something that always seems to be lacking in the array of arguments is somebody who is passionate, expressive, and artistic, and provides a slam dunk in that particular manner. We need guys with balls, with some courage, and to stand up and make heavy criticisms against these wrongs that we see. And people want to tell me compassion, love, and all this are better. Well, they sound more positive, but if you have compassion and love to a pedophile, and he continues to, or she continues to mutilate or endanger children because you're so compassionate and loving, or because you ignore them, is that compassion and love good? So I don't think we should be in the game of playing whether emotions are good or not, but rather whether an emotion is appropriate or not. And if something is lovable and if someone is educatable, then compassion is an appropriate response. If someone is not educatable, that's a scary situation. It doesn't happen all the time in the States or in Europe, but in China I can tell you on a daily basis you will find people with rotted brains and who are literally insane. And the last hope for people like this is that somebody with courage will sort of slap them in the face with a strong argument against what they're doing. It doesn't always work for these people, but there is a type of people and a type of situation where the strong argument and the strong flavor is the most effective. So when you're dealing with individuals, all of us, no matter what our own natures are, all of us need to decide what is most effective. So for me, as a critical type, sometimes I need to suppress my criticism when I am with somebody who is very intelligent, and in spite of the fact that they're making mistakes, would respond well to kind argumentation. And but if we're talking to a general group, I say for everyone, just be yourself, because you're not going to be able to tell which people you'll be able to reach. It's very random. Like here on YouTube, I don't know who's watching, if there'll be somebody who is difficult to reach or less difficult to reach, or somebody who appreciates sort of honesty and passion and art and these things, or if there's somebody who is both very intelligent but also too sensitive, and then they'll be offended and they'll walk away. I'm sorry that happens sometimes, but it's out of my personality to talk to a general audience in sort of a gentle way. I'm just not all that gentle, at least not up in here. I'm not like that. So anyway, what about the other arguments that people are afraid you validate stuff, that you can become consumed if you get angry and stuff like that? So being in the position where you have to get angry a lot, living in China, because it is an anarchistic place where people drive on the wrong side of the roads and generally do not respect any semblance of law and will steal stuff from you very, very quickly. You suddenly find that there's a problem here. You're not in a monastery, and you're not even in the US or Europe, but you're in an area which is not established law. Then you will be forced to get angry many times. So how did I deal with that? Like, what do you do when somebody steals your salary, for example? Or when somebody is going the wrong way down the street and they run into you head on, or things like that. I think the way I've begun to do self-improvement here in China is that I aim that when I calculate that anger is going to work here, and this person will respond to anger and passion very well, I give that as an expression. And then I try to keep my heart as calm as possible, and keep my mind in a stable and focused state. How does one not become consumed by that? Well, in China, I think you will discover you really need to figure out how to avoid as much as possible, take avoidance to the extreme, and stay out of situations where you might find people like that, and also create a society, a group of friends that make you happy and who generally don't challenge you in this way. But if you think you can live and never have an expression of anger, you got to come to China. It's a very interesting fact that I never swear in the English language, but I have to swear sometimes in Chinese. And that's a very interesting fact, and I'll leave it to you, the viewer, to figure out why I'm like that or how that came to be. And so, thank you very much, everybody, for watching, and Om.